And I'm live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know the door's open, right?
Oh, yeah. What's up, everyone? Just getting things set up, and we'll be ready to go. One last thing. All right, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Benny in the Booth podcast. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about WBC final recap that happened last Tuesday. We'll be talking about March Madness as we get into the end of the tournament, NFL news, and for the first time in podcast history, a MLB regular season standings prediction, including wildcard winners or wildcard teams, will not be a full playoffs, just for regular season, not awards either, just for regular season. Let's get right into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 72 of Benny in the Booth podcast. Thank you so much for your support to this point. I very much do appreciate it. So this week, I guess really there's not much else to talk about outside of the podcast. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing about the next few weeks, as for me and Jews, there's upcoming holiday Pesach or Passover, and I'm going to be traveling next Tuesday to Cleveland, where I'm going to be for Passover. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing podcast over Passover, but I will hopefully be back for sure the 18th, I hope for sure. But in between then, I'm not sure. Maybe I do a vlog because I am planning on hopefully going to a baseball game over Pesach break. Maybe even basketball too. So maybe I might do a vlog. But other than that, I'm not sure if I'm going to put out a podcast between now and before April 18th. So as of right now, I'd say assume the next episode will be April 18th. If that changes, well, you'll see it on either YouTube or audio, wherever you listen to my podcast from. But as of right now, that is my official plan for the next few weeks. So for the next 3 weeks, there won't be an episode. But April 18th, we'll be back to doing episodes. Or if I do episodes, it'll be like video instead of streaming because it's Passover. I mean, then again, like now that I think about it, it's gonna be tough even the week after because the week after that Tuesday is also like the Eve holiday Eve or Erev Yontif. So realistically, I'm probably not going to start back with episodes again until the 18th. Maybe I'll put out YouTube shorts to immediate reactions, or maybe I put out a vlog. But other than that, this will be the last episode for a few weeks due to Passover. So let's get right into it. WBC final. So I want to start off with this. So obviously this was the game where everyone was wondering, what is Japan doing by starting Yamamoto? In some ways it worked out. In some ways it didn't. In some ways it did to the extent that he actually didn't do that. He actually pitched pretty good. But he gave up one mistake, and that mistake was to Trey Turner, who had a ridiculous tournament and had another straight game of homering. But Kelly was but he gave up a game-tying home run. Japan would take the lead in that same inning, and Japan won 3-2. Ohtani and Darvish both came out of the bullpen. Darvish came up a home run to Schwarber, but it didn't matter. Ohtani came in, got a double play after a leadoff walk, and then struck out Trout on a full count pitch to win Japan the championship, their third championship overall and in WBC history, and first since 2009. And Kazuma Okamoto's home run in this solo home run in this fourth was the big difference in this game as Japan won 3-2 to close out the WBC. And this was a heck of a WBC. Big for a lot of countries, big for the tournament itself for what happened. Italy definitely has a lot of positive signs to be looking back on. Australia, Venezuela. I mean, like Mexico for sure. So many countries just made a lot of surprises and definitely have a lot to be proud of. But we'll see what happens. WBC talk will obviously be held off until give or take 2025, late 2025, early 2026, because that is when the next qualifiers tournament is going to be happening. There hasn't been any of the venues for that tournament or qualifiers been announced yet. But once those are, that might be when I start talking about it again, but it'll be a while till that conversation starts up again. But that is the wrap up for WBC. So, and I want to save my regular season predictions toward the end of the episode. So first I want to go through everything else, and then I'll go through MLB regular season standings and predictions. I will also say with the regular season predictions, I'm not going to be giving a record for each team. I might try to give like a win estimated total roughly, but I'm not going to be giving a exact like record because it's just way too complicated to figure out with how baseball works. But anyways, March Madness Sweet 16. The last two rounds went absolutely nuts. Two number one seeds went down to the Sweet 16. Number one, Bama, falling to number 5, San Diego State, 71-64. And number 1, Houston, falling to number 5, Miami, Florida, 89-75. And funny enough, they actually face each other on Saturday at 6:09 p.m. on CBS. All the Final Four and championship games are going to be from NRG Stadium in Houston, which is home of the Houston Texans. Miami, Florida is not facing San Diego State. I'll get to the matchup soon. And then other key game from Sweet 16 was FAU continuing its run, beating number 4 Tennessee 62-55. That's from the Sweet 16. And then the Elite 8 upsets, number 9 FAU beating number 3 Kansas State 79-76, advancing to the Final Four for the first time ever. Number 5 Miami beating number 2 Texas 88-81. And number 4 UConn being number 3 Gonzaga 82-54. Sweet 16 predictions, I went 1-7. Elite 8 predictions, I went 0-4. I'm basically over for the rest of my predictions. So in grand total, I'm 32 and 35. Numbers, nothing crazy, but could be worse. So remaining schedule, April 1st is the final 4 games. First one's gonna be number 5 from the South part of the bracket. Number 5 San Diego State versus from the East part, number 9 FAU. That game will be at 6:09 on CBS. And then Midwest, number 5 Miami, Florida versus West, number 4 UConn, 8:49 on CBS. And then the final is going to be on Monday, 9 p.m. on CBS. All these games, once again, will be from NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, home of the Houston Texans, NFL. That is wrap up for March Madness. I will cover, I guess I won't be here for, I won't be able to cover it next week. Maybe I'll do it in the next episode, but we'll see. And then NFL news, there was crazy amount, but Elijah Moore and a 3rd round pick this year traded from the New York Jets to the Cleveland Browns for the second rounder this year. It's an interesting trade. It could be beneficial for the Browns. We'll see what happens. He's had not the best of numbers, but has also been on and off with health. But then again, like for the Jets, the numbers he's put up for it being with the Jets is still pretty good. And then Nelson Aguilar signs with the Baltimore Ravens a 1-year, $6.25 million deal. So that is everything outside of baseball. And now I'm going to be getting to the part that everyone's probably been waiting for, my MLB regular season predictions. As opening day is in 2 days for a bunch of the teams. Not every team opens on Thursday, but a bunch of the teams do start Thursday. I'll also go over that schedule. I just have to pull that up. But I'll also go over opening day schedule. Just for Thursday. I won't go into the Friday games. But my regular season predictions, and I sat down for a while trying to think about this. So I'm going to start off with the AL. I'm going to start off with the AL East. And I'm going to start from the bottom going up in each division. 5th place, Boston Red Sox. They got Masataka Yoshida, and Justin Turner technically, and Kenley Jansen technically. But they really didn't prove much enough to really convince me they're going to finish beyond 5th place. I have them in 5th place. In 4th place, I have the Baltimore Orioles. They are the same thing. I mean, they made some improvements, but they did not improve enough for me, even with how much Tampa didn't really either, to convince me that they're going to be beyond 4th. But I do still will say I think they could have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs, but we'll see what happens. I do not, but there is a chance they could. 3rd place, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. Just once again, did not improve much at all in the offseason. Maybe they could sneak in a playoff spot. I don't have them sneaking in a playoff spot, but they could technically sneak in a playoff spot. Maybe 2nd place in the AL East, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. They've improved a lot in the offseason. Not so much in the key part in the bullpen, but they got Dalton Varsho, got a few pieces from Seattle for Teoscar Hernandez, and made some moves here and there. But I don't think it will be enough to top the Yankees, as I do in 1st place in the AL East have the New York Yankees, even with the injuries they are dealing with at the moment. Big news they did make positively is that Anthony Volpe is on the opening day roster, which is about time that they did that, as it was time to call him up, and really because they had Kiner Falefa, who would have probably been the opening day shortstop otherwise, has just not been good. The whole trade is just bad turnout for the Yankees. But anyways, that's how I have the AL East. For the AL Central, 5th place, Kansas City Royals. Not much improvement, not much losses really. So I have them in 5th. 4th place, the Detroit Tigers, similar story. 3rd place, Chicago White Sox. they made some improvements, but I don't think it's going to be enough when you have Minnesota and Cleveland in the division. So I have them in third. Second place, I debated this back and forth for a while, but I did settle second place would be the Twins, and first place will be the Cleveland Guardians. This took me a while to be like, because I was like, do I think they can do that the Guardians can defend the division, or do I think Minnesota's going to? And I think Cleveland will barely have a bit more enough to win the division, win the AL Central over Minnesota. But I do have Minnesota I don't have Minnesota actually making the playoffs. Sorry. But that's how I have the AL Central. For the AL West, last place Oakland A's just lost a whole bunch more pieces and really did not get a lot of good returns in their trades. Don't have to say anything more. Fourth place, it's tough for me to say because I feel like they could be on the incline this year and also like another team that could make the playoffs. But I have the Angels. I think they're just the worst of the next three teams. Third place, I have Seattle. It was hard to choose to make this because they made the playoffs last year, of course. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't find any other way to put it. Second place, I have Texas Rangers. I mean, of course, really, it's banking on a lot of people's health, but they really could have like a very solid team on paper, and we'll see what happens. But first place, I still have the Houston Astros because they're just still the same elite that they were last year. They did lose Yuli Gurriel, but they gained Jose Abreu. Fair trade-off. So that is how I have it. The Yankees and the Astros would be the two teams that would not have to deal with the wild card series, and the wild card series teams would be between Cleveland, Toronto, Texas, and Seattle. That's not the specific order I have them in as in who would be facing who. It's just the teams I have in the wild card series. That is for the American League, and then for the National League, in the National League East, last place, easy enough. Nationals didn't really do much positively, not really much even in general. Fourth place, I have the Marlins, just a bit better, but not even that much. Third place, I have the Phillies. They've made good improvements, but I just wonder if it's going to be enough to top the Mets or the Braves still. But that's going to be really third, second, and first to be interchanged. Second place, I have the Mets, actually. And first place, I have the Braves. We'll see what happens. But that's really a division that could interchange this year. But I do have both Mets and Phillies as wildcard teams, just like last year. NL Central, last place, the Reds, lost a whole bunch and don't have really much to be proud of in the major leagues at the current moment. Fourth place, the Pirates. They have O'Neal Cruz. That's really the only, and I guess, well, as of right now, they still have Brian Reynolds, but that could be changing very soon. That's really the only positive thing I could say for the Pirates is that they have O'Neal Cruz. Third place, I have the Milwaukee Brewers. They had some weird moves this offseason. We'll see what happens, but they still have a pretty solid team still a pretty good rotation. We'll see what happens. Second place, and honestly, I might be selling high on this, but I have the Cubs, but I don't have them in the playoffs. So I might have put them high for Cubs fan perspective, but I do not have them making the playoffs. The only team I have making the playoffs is first place being the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're just the best team in the division. And that's for the NL Central. And for the NL West standings, fifth place Rockies, lost more, and their owner, Dick Monfort, claims they're going to be 500 baseball. They're not going to be. They're going to be nowhere near 500 baseball this year. Diamondbacks in fourth, a bit better of a roster. Nothing more I can really say about it. Third place, the San Francisco Giants. They did make improvements, but I don't think it's enough to go beyond Dodgers or Padres. Second place, the Dodgers, simply because the Dodgers just lost a whole lot this offseason. And then first place, the Padres, because I feel like the Padres improved enough with how much the Dodgers lost that they could be first place. I mean, really, it could be flip-flopped, but I do have the Padres. That's NL West standings. And for the wild card teams, it would be St. Louis Cardinals, New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, and LA Dodgers, with the Padres and the Braves getting first round wild card series buys. That is my standings prediction. Let me know your own prediction in the comments below. And I'm just going to go over the opening day schedule for Thursday before we go. just Thursday's schedule. I'm not going to go beyond Thursday. But for Thursday's schedule, we kick off with Braves, Nationals, and Yankees and Giants are the first two games on opening day. Both games starting at 1:05 Eastern. For Braves Nationals, it's Max Fried for the Braves, Patrick Corbin for the Nationals. For Giants Yankees, it's Logan Webb going for the Giants and Garrett Cole going for the Yankees. 2:10 p.m. we have Eastern. We have the Baltimore Orioles at the Boston Red Sox. Kyle Gibson going for the Baltimore Orioles. Corey Kluber going for the Boston Red Sox. New addition for both teams. 2:20 p.m. Eastern, the Cubs kick off their season at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burns going on the mound for Milwaukee. Marcus Stroman pitching for the Cubs. 3:10 p.m. Eastern, we get the Tigers at the Tampa Bay Rays. Eduardo Rodriguez starting for Detroit. Shane McClanahan starting for Tampa Bay. At 4:05 p.m. Eastern, we have the Philadelphia Phillies at the Texas Rangers. Aaron Nola starting for Philly. Jacob deGrom making his Rangers debut on opening day for the Rangers at home. At 4:10 p.m. Eastern, we have 5 games. Pirates, Reds in Cincinnati, Rockies at Padres, Blue Jays at Cardinals, Twins at Royals, and Mets at Marlins. For Pirates at Reds, it's Mitch Keller against Hunter Green. For Rockies at Padres, it's Herman Marquez against Blake Snell. For Blue Jays and Cardinals, it's Alek Manoah against Miles Michaelis. For Twins at Royals, it's Pablo Lopez versus Zach Greinke. Pablo Lopez. I'm thinking of something else. Sorry. For Mets Marlins, it's Max Scherzer starting opening day because they want Verlander to get the home opener. And so he's actually starting, I think, like game 3 or 4. I think 4 or something. I forget what it is. But either way, he's not the opening day starter. Facing Sandy Alcantara. Those are all the 4:10 games. At 7:08 Eastern, we have the White Sox against the Houston Astros. That game will actually be on ESPN. And the Mets Marlins will be on MLB Network. But White Sox Astros on ESPN at 7:08 p.m. Eastern. Dylan Cease pitching for the Chicago White Sox. Framber Valdez pitching for the Houston Astros. At 10:07 p.m. Eastern, it's Angels at Athletics. Ohtani starting for the Angels. I believe Kyle Muller starting for the Oakland A's. And then at 10:10 p.m. Eastern are the last 2 games of the day. Diamondbacks at Dodgers, Guardians at Mariners. With Guardians Mariners going to be on MLB Network. Zach Gallen versus Julio Urias in Diamondbacks Dodgers. Cleveland has Shane Bieber starting, Luis Castillo starting for the Seattle Mariners. That is Thursday, aka opening day schedule, and that is this week's episode of the podcast. Let's wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Benny in the Booth podcast. In a few weeks when we come back on April 18th, we'll have MLB weekly recaps of games, of important notes from games from a week period. We'll have any NFL news that happens between now and then, and possibly March Madness and anything else that pops up between now and then. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you are new on audio on YouTube, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I go live and or post a video. If you're new on audio, follow the podcast, leave a review, and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I post on there. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in a few weeks for next episode 73. Bye-bye.